Hi everybody, it's Russ from My Hammers 11. I hope you're all safe and well. If obviously you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell notification so you're made aware of any time we put new content on. Obviously we have videos going up daily, but sometimes 2-3 times a day, and I wouldn't want you to miss any of these cracking guests we've got on, including today's guest, another foreign hammer, hammer not on these parts.
With a funny accent.
Yeah, a weird accent from upstate New York accent, sounds like. Yeah, he writes for West Ham Till I Die. It's David Hautzig. How are you?
I'm well, Russ. How are you? Thanks so much for including me in this.
I
don't know if I deserve it, but I'm loving it.
Do you know what? Someone said to me, and it's really sweet, because it's like, someone texted me once and said, "I'm a nobody. Can I come on?" I went, no, it's not about whether you're an ex-player or a celebrity. If you're a West Ham fan, that's why I'm on the channel, and that's what it's all about. And what I love as well is talking to more not native West Ham fans. Does that make sense? Because it's like you, for example. Clearly, you haven't got a Cockney twang in your voice.
Not a bit. No, I try. In fact, my family, my wife and my kids hate that my colloquialisms will shift to English, to British.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's like you don't have a pair of shoes. You have it's a pair. They just don't. They just get mad at me because I seem to always tend to go that way. But it isn't Cockney. If I ever tried that, I think Nigel would just hunt me down and kill me. So just to not suffer the wrath of Khan.
Literally, very good, very good.
I just made that up on the fly. Actually.
Yeah. And I see you've got your mug there to keep him happy as well. So
I do.
You like to keep.
I do with the old crest because he refused. Yeah. And with your gold, by the way, just a unpaid plug there.
Oh, very good. So
it's good.
It's a good proper cup of rosy tea.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, proper cup of rosy Lee, as we would say in the Cockney world. So how's the whole lockdown treating you up there in upstate New York?
Well, I'm lucky that I'm in upstate New York. I'm born and raised in Manhattan, and I can't imagine what it must be like. Like if I was in my old apartment, the one I lived in Manhattan with my wife, our first kid, and 2 cats, that was 365 square feet total.
Yeah.
Imagine doing that. Instead, you can see a little bit out the window. I'm like on the outskirts of the middle of nowhere. I'm in the middle of the hills, the mountains. So it's social distancing is easy. I mean, I can't see another house in any direction. You live up here, you're socially distanced from everybody at all times. I'm in the wine trade and people still drink. So my business is good.
Yeah.
Fine, so to speak. The restaurants are closed, but the stores are still fine.
Yeah, sure.
But it's, wife is working and the kids are managing to finish their school online.
Oh, very good.
And now we get to see if we want to watch football. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, we've got a week and a half left to go. I don't know.
Something like that.
I don't know. I was talking to someone the other day, and it was like you had this sort of sense of, I got used to not having to moan about West Ham. And it was like, and for 100 days I didn't have to moan about West Ham or a transfer or anything. And
I'm friends with them. Don't everybody get mad at me. He just happens to be a friend of Neil Barnett, who was the announcer for Chelsea. They're on pitch announcer to Chelsea TV. I'm good friends with him. So whenever I'm in London, we have a meal, whatever. About a month ago, he called me just to chat, and he was like, "Well, you must be happy." Well, why? You haven't lost in 2 months.
Exactly.
I had a choice couple of words for him. It's like, who's paying for the next meal, Neil? It ain't going to be me. Not after that. No way.
Exactly.
We're okay.
Yeah, and as I said, we'll be back, and we'll see how it goes. It's interesting. As I said, it's going to be strange. I'm going to hopefully do a few videos because obviously I'm in the group who's going to be there.
You're in the inside.
Exclusive. So I might have some exclusive content come on the channel.
Around.
Exactly.
The elite.
Exactly. So I've got my masks and everything. So we'll see what happens. But I'm looking forward to it now. I was dreading it a little bit. I'm looking forward to it.
I didn't think it was going to happen. I didn't want it to happen. I thought it was a bad idea. I did. But now that they've announced it's going to happen, it's like, well, it'll just be my background music for the most part for the next 6 weeks. I'll I'll sit because, don't worry, Ian, I'm going to do my unpaid job. And when we're playing, I'll sit and write my reports. Everything else is just going to be like, it's going to be on if I hear something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's about it, though.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's going to be so much football. It's going to be ridiculous, isn't it? By
It
the looks
is.
of it. But and we just seem to be playing midweek most of our games. I don't know how it's worked out, but yeah, we've got a Saturday obviously in the afternoon, late afternoon in the UK. So lunchtime, your gaff, and then we've got two Chelsea game, I think, and the Tottenham game, and some of the others are all midweek. So I don't know how that's figured out, but
yeah, I think
it
goes
is.
Wolves, Spurs, Chelsea. If I'm right, I don't know. I think,
exactly, yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting because I think we've seen from the Bundesliga that not necessarily home advantage works. I think it's.
I think we've seen with West Ham that home advantage often doesn't work. I don't even need to worry about anything we're learning from Germany. I mean, there's enough empirical evidence at the Thunderdome, as Phil Whelans likes to call it.
Yeah.
I don't, yeah.
So we'll see. It's like I could see us. I could see it. When I was interviewing Kevin Keane, something he mentioned is he thought it was going to benefit the teams in the lower league positions because they could go to Man City and feel like they're going to get something because there's no crowd and it's a more of a different environment. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But anyway,
give up the early goal. Maybe you're not worried that the crowd gets down on you. Who knows?
Exactly. Players who haven't, we've seen it at times. Players aren't performing very well. The crowd getting their back, and that doesn't happen obviously when there's no bugger there.
There's nobody there.
Yeah. Well, it's quite sweet. I've heard some really sweet things. There's some people are doing like Zoom parties where them and their season ticket mates are all having a Zoom and watching the game while talking to each other and having a halftime analysis, and it's going to be sweet.
There's going to be we've learned a lot of new things in this time. I mean, like my mother-in-law lives in Florida alone. She's all by herself. So every now and then we'll just invite her for dinner. So she'll eat her dinner. We'll just put my wife's laptop on the end of the dining room table, and she's just virtually there while we're eating and she's eating, and that's nice. Certainly nice for her. And family birthdays. Everybody's there in a virtual manner. And you could say when this is all over, when we come out the other side of this, no, that's not a bad idea to keep around.
No, I think it's definitely brought people together, if that makes sense. Although you can't, you can't hug anyone, but you know what I mean.
One of the great ironies.
It's really
separation
weird.
has brought us people together to a degree.
Yeah. No, I should have done that with my mother-in-law rather than move her in, but.
Yeah, well, hey, don't blame me. If the wife's asleep and doesn't hear this, just don't show her this.
Yeah, exactly.
Your secret's safe with me.
I haven't showed her how to use YouTube yet, so she's all right.
Yeah, well, good. Yeah, I think you're fine.
Exactly. Anyway, so obviously what we're doing here with this is this sort of whole project is finding out about your memories of West Ham and obviously the players that meant something to you. So for you, David, more than anyone, why West Ham?
It's a virus, just like the one we've got now. I caught it, and I'm never going to get rid of it, and it might eventually kill me. But the real story, very simple, my little apartment in Manhattan. I was on 25th Street between 2nd and 3rd. Yep. I'm apartment 2F. Here's apartment 2H, okay? So I lived there. This woman named Michelle lived at 2H. My good friend, if you're a jazz fan, is a tenor saxophone player named George Coleman. His son, George Coleman Jr., a drummer. He was in the Edinburgh Jazz Festival, 1990, 90 or 91, I can't remember. I think 90, yeah. And he said, you want to go? Yeah, I'll go. And I mentioned it to my neighbor who wanted to go visit London. Yeah, I'm going to go too. I flew to Glasgow. Michelle, on her flight, sat next to a guy named Derek. Derek Price owned a printing company in Croydon. He's now here. He actually became an American citizen recently. Season ticket holder with his dad and his brothers. And that was that. And next thing you know, they got married. They had kids. When he would visit her before they got married, she didn't have cable television and I did. He'd knock on the door. And my parents are European. So I had a season ticket to the Cosmos when I was a kid. So, I've watched football my whole life. Yeah. He would come over to watch the EPL highlight show, half an hour once per week. And it's not like I had a team. But he's mentioning it. So I would open the New York Times and get that was all you had, a little square of the results. And then we found a guy at our old pub called the Abbey Tavern, long gone, on 26th and 3rd. And there was a Portuguese guy who had a shortwave radio. He would come in on Saturday nights with the shortwave radio, and we'd turn on the BBC server to get the football results. And I ended up going to do that. And then another bar opened, and they put a big C-band satellite, and they'd have like a piece of paper in the window, like what games were on. Yeah. But I adopted West Ham then. And I knew something was really wrong when I got up very early in the morning to go watch us play the FA Cup game at Sunderland. Freddie Canute scored. I think that was it. We won 1-0.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like 7 a.m. I'm eating breakfast and drinking a beer. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm officially fried. I'm done. I've crossed over a boundary. And that's how it started for me. But, as Nigel, I think, said, who's a good friend of mine, that was he would talk to me about it. He's like, how did you watch that? Run around trying to find a place with a satellite dish after the shortwave radio guy had run his course. So that's why West Ham. I can't tell you other than that. And by the way, they got divorced. I haven't heard or seen Michelle in friggin' years. I have no idea where she is. I kept Derek in the divorce. I talked to him all the time. We went to a game together because he was from Balham originally.
Yeah.
So he came over when I was there for the Leicester City game, the one that ended in a draw when we got robbed because Lucas Parrish had the third goal. We went to that game together with a bunch of other friends. So I still talk to Derek all the time. But Michelle, I don't know. That's how I became West Ham.
And then, as you say, it's like a virus, isn't it? Once you're in, you're in. You can't get.
You're in, and you never leave. And I love every minute of it, despite the pain. I do. It's like really bad hot sauce. It's like you just
go back to it. Yeah, you have to keep going back to it.
Yeah, you just go back to it again and again and again.
And try a bit hotter next time because
Yeah, well.
Yeah. And obviously for you, David, what would you say in your sort of your fan career? Sort of, what would you say were sort of key highlights? What things that stick out, whether it's matches or whether it's experiences. West Ham, there must be some things which
matches. Actually, I think I'll stay away from matches on that because I can talk about matches when I go to my 11. Because I think for me, really, when you think for me, it's the experiences. Like, as I said to you before we started recording, the number of friends that I have there now through this club, Nigel and Sean and I know Ian and we have you and I know somebody who will just be quiet about that who works for the club. But, Dan Silver at the Telegraph is a good friend of mine. I've just made this little community of friends over there from over here that I'll just pick up the phone and just tell, hey, what are you doing? Just, the nothing kind of pointless phone call you make to your friends.
Yeah.
Having that. I remember the first time I went to the Black Lion in Plasto with Nigel and Sean. We were walking, we met Sean there, but Nigel and I walked with my best mate, John, from Texas. And there's Phil Parks on the street. And just Nigel waved. He knew who Nigel was. Waved across the street, chatted with him. Just being in that environment. Yeah. In fact, I remember that game and that experience is more to me than my first ever match in '94 at Anfield against Liverpool. Cotty got red carded, still drew 0-0, and we sang "And We're Better Than You 10 Men." I didn't know Bubbles yet. I didn't know all the words to Bubbles by then. Going to games with my friends in England. When West Ham played the MLS All-Stars.
Yes.
In Toronto. I drove to Toronto.
Wow.
John flew in from Texas. We met. And we're in a cafe having a little meal before the match. And two of my friends from the pub in Manhattan, McCormick's, walk in. Dave, and I think the other guy's name was Tony. And I'm like, hi. They come over, they sit down, we have a meal together. And actually, Dave had a funny line that day. He went, how did this happen to you again? I was like, yeah, well, blah, blah, blah. It's Derek. And he went, well, next time you see this Derek, you should fucking smack him. But those experiences, like having this shared passion and love for this crazy, infuriating club from nowhere near my life, bringing my wife and kids to a game.
Sure.
Watching my two children sing Bubbles and like reminding them, hands up, Fortune's always hiding. Then meeting up with Sean and Nigel at halftime, just having a drink and talking. Somebody took a picture, like a family picture with Nigel and Sean and some other people. I don't think George and John were at that match. They weren't in it. Like, my daughter has that up in her room.
Ah.
Yeah, it's like those things. It's like there's a human side of this that I actually kind of cling to more than any particular match day. Not like I've been to that many. Remember, I haven't been to that many.
No,
most of them have been on television.
Yeah.
I could count how many, but it's like 10, 11, something like that. So I think that's what it is. That human, the friends that I've made, that's invaluable.
No, exactly.
Priceless.
It's true, and everyone talks about the West Ham community, so the West Ham family, but that's more, as you said, it's so true, and it's like
not made up.
No, it's not. I mean, as you said, your experiences when I speak to the guy, German Holt from the Scandinavian Hammers. It's and this channel has come about, in terms of it's grown because of the West Ham family, because people have gone, hey, you've had I might interview someone, they give me 5 people they want me to contact, and then those after interview they give me another, and it just evolves, and it just it just astounds me the sort of the community spirit that West Ham fans
if you're
have.
Somewhere, if you're traveling, it's like if you're traveling in something, you lost your wallet or whatever, it's almost like, if you found a West Ham supporter, here, you can PayPal it to me when you get home. And I had a season ticket to the New York Rangers in the NHL for over 20 years. I had a season ticket to the New York Mets in baseball for 8 years.
Yeah.
I can tell you that community sense simply doesn't exist. Like if I'm in Sweden and I met somebody with a New York Met hat, oh, you're a Met fan. Yeah. All right, great. Have a nice day. That would be about as far as it would go. And that would be the end of it. I'm just more than likely. Yeah. But if it was West Ham, oh my God, we'd know each other's family within an hour.
It's so true. And it's like, it's something that I was walking my dog with my daughter today, and obviously I live in sort of Gideon Park, Hornchurch area, which is basically West Ham territory.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a girl in a West Ham kit, like walking along with her dad, and they're just going to have a kickabout, it seemed.
Yeah.
And I just shouted out, "Commy Wines!" And it's like, I don't know this person. I do not know this person. And the girl shouted out, "Yeah, Commy Wines!" And it's so true. It's almost like sort of it's like a special like Freemasons handshake, isn't it? It's like, "Commy Wines!"
And Sam Delaney, I think, who I'm a huge fan of,
yeah.
Didn't he say in his interview that, like, if Arsenal supporters are walking on the street, do they yell out to each other? No. But so once I'm at this bar in Manhattan, I'm at McCormick's. We beat Liverpool, obviously, at Upton Park. I don't remember the year, sorry. And I'm wearing my original shirt. It was the only one I had at the time. And I'm walking to the gym. Back in the days that I cared about such things, like I don't now. But I'm walking down 3rd Avenue to the gym, and somebody's coming the other direction with a scarf. They were at a different bar, I think probably one called Nevada Smith's, famous for being a Manchester United bar, but fine, they also had all the football. And I was up, so we're passing each other on the street. We didn't say a word. There was just a little high five. Done. That's it. Nothing was said. But of course, didn't even have to say it. I walked by, I just put my hand up, and he went, boom. And well, we knew why. We knew exactly what was going on. Not a word was spoken. And that would it happen with another? Maybe, but I like to think not.
No, I like to think not either. And I think you're right. And I used to get it on the tube all the time. I used to wear like sort of old, like it's a sort of a coat, but it has like a really subtle West Ham sign, and you'd get it all the time. Irons, and you go, Irons.
Yeah.
It's like the calling card, isn't it? It's like absolutely brilliant.
It's great. And I here, I mean, I trust me, I'm the only one walking around in upstate New York with West Ham gear. I can assure you, I've never seen anybody else.
But you wouldn't see anyone there full stop anyway, David. So
not where I live.
Yeah,
a couple of turkeys and the bird building the nest right on the outside of that door, feeding the babies. I see that.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go and talk about your 11 because I think that's going to be quite fun. So, as I said, 4-4-2 if we can, but the only rule is you have to have been alive to have seen them play. That's it. Simple.
Yeah.
So for your 11, David, what are we going to do?
Mhm.
Who's going to be between the sticks for you for your 11?
You know, I don't want to sound like I'm disrespecting Ludo because, you know, he was the keeper when I started.
Yeah.
Right. But it was hard to get as much of a grasp on McCloskey with the 2 or 3 games, maybe a season, because we were playing a big club.
Yeah.
And you know, and Greeny was both infuriating at times, but from my goalkeepers, well, you know, starting with McCloskey, you have Hislop, you have Green, you have Roy Carroll.
Yeah.
And I remember when we signed Green, I think Roy Carroll had been the number 1 prior to that. And it was like, oh, why are we doing this? Because I thought Carroll had been okay.
Yeah.
Green had more memorable games.
Yeah.
Like throw your hands up and go, oh my God, I can't believe he did that.
Yeah.
Than any other keeper I've watched.
Yeah.
So because of that, you know, the Old Trafford Tevez game.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
You know, there's a saying that they use in ice hockey when a goaltender has a great, they go, he just stood on his head. And that's like, so occasionally North American terms come to mind. I saw Green stand on his head more than any other keeper.
Yeah.
I personally, so I have to go with Rob Green.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great shout, and as you said, I mean, you know, I think we've done all right for goalkeepers. I mean, you rattled off 4 or 5 there, and then even after that, you had David James, you had
James, and you can't. It's not like I could go with Jimmy Walker, Bywater,
Jimmy.
even though they had good years down there. But I think Green just. I think for me, I think he's actually a clear winner. And if we did this 3 years from now, would Fabianski do? Maybe there's a chance.
Yeah.
But Green was instrumental, I think, in the promotion. Although I watched the season review of that year the other day, and there was a lot more shit that year than I remember. Like, oh my God, we were freaking horrible that day.
We were.
I don't remember as many bad games, you know, happening, but they did.
No, it's true. It's true, and you sort of gloss over, don't you? You gloss over things. It's like
the home loss to Ipswich. Like, oh
yeah,
Jesus, needing a noble penalty to beat Peterborough, right? Yeah, at home.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
I know it's true. And actually, watching those Robert Banks sort of reviews, it really does. It puts different players in different lights for me. So it's like we interviewed Tim Breaker for the channel, and I just said to him, "Look, Tim, I have to confess, I didn't appreciate you when you were a player. I didn't think of you as, you know, just because I was young, so I was all about the goal scorers and Ian Bishop and people like that, not necessarily. But watching it back, you know, you were mustard. I have to get off my back, Tim. It's like, so sweet. All right, we'll put Greeno in goal. Let's go left back. Who have we got left back then, David?
It's got to be. You know, that I remember the first time I got to see Julian Dix play on television. ESPN had the contract for the Premier League in the early to mid 90s. It was 1 game per week on Mondays. And believe it or not, one of those things like only West Ham, right? The night that the power went off at Upton Park, that was one of the Monday games scheduled for them. I'm like, hey, get a game. And then all of a sudden they turned out it was the Eredivisie for some. I'm like, what? Huh? And then, you know, I found out from my friend Derek later that day what had happened. So I got to watch Dix. I think it was against Spurs, and I think we might even have won 4-3. But it's not like I sat here and researched all this for everything. But I mean, if anything, I think the first time I saw him take a penalty, and it was like, okay, here's the deal, Mr. Keeper. You can certainly try to stop it. Go right ahead. You're more than welcome to try to do your job. You're gonna lose a finger. You might even stop the ball from going in. You're going to lose a finger. Yeah. And if that's worth it to you, that's fine. My recommendation as a professional footballer left back is get out of the way.
Get out of the way. Yeah.
Because it's really, I don't think there's any real upside to trying to stop. Yeah. Like, just a rifle. I mean, he just didn't. Yeah. It wasn't like I'm going to, you know where I'm going to put it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll go in and mark it off with a Sharpie. God help you trying to stop it. And I loved that attitude. Yeah. Didn't he get red carded in a testimonial?
Probably.
I
I
think
mean,
Dix
yeah,
got red carded in DeCanio's testimonial.
quite
It's like,
possibly.
who gets red carded in a testimonial?
Yeah. Well,
I may be
that's
wrong about that, so the historians out there can correct me.
someone will always
Somebody,
comment
if
on
I'm
it. So,
wrong,
yeah,
please forgive me. I'm sorry.
yeah. But he was, yeah. I know exactly what you meant, and yeah, those penalties were something else. And yeah, he was a great servant for the club. That's for sure.
And it's not like we've had a lot of great left backs. So, and he's a great left back.
Yeah.
We could add a lot of other. He robbed by England because of lack of a good haircut.
Yeah.
I mean, Dixie was a great player. And it would be silly for me to try anybody else. I wouldn't dare. He's the left back. End of.
Yeah, sure. No, sounds great. And who are we going to have on the right back, David? Who's going to be the other side?
I'm going with Lucas Neal. Now I know he did some center and he did one. He did some on right back. But like as you've said, sometimes you're going to make a choice based on a particular experience.
Yeah.
And there was one game that I thought, oh, I like this guy. February 2009. So Matty Etherington had been sold to Stoke. Yep. We go to the Britannia to play Stoke. Now, there probably was a little bit of talk in the press about, Etherington, coming back. He's going to be playing his former club.
Yeah.
He's going to do some stuff. In ice hockey, if there's a really good quality, skillful player on the other team, sometimes, your team is going to, what you're going to do is you're going to send your goon out there.
Yeah.
And you're just going to pile drive him into the boards and see what happens. And every now and then, that player's quiet for the rest of the night. And I have a memory. Early in that match, Etherington came down, and Lucas Neal just put him into the advertising boards. Like, whoa! And you didn't hear a peep from Matty Etherington the rest of that game. We won 1-0. Diego Tristan scored the winner. Good goal too. Quality goal, if I remember. So I just watched that because I was happened to be on TV here, and I just was laughing. Like, oh, that's great. Got to put him on like the New York Rangers when he's done with this career. Put some skates on. He'll know what he's doing. So I go with Lucas Neal for that. Actually, as much for that one game as anything else. And again, it's not like if you start looking through the list of West Ham United right backs, there really isn't one. I think Sebastian
Schemmel,
Schemmel, right? That was again before my real good time. But he was brilliant, particularly one year. Yeah, but I didn't see it enough.
No,
so
that's the point. That's the point of it.
Lucas Neal is my guy, right back.
Exactly, and he was a good captain.
Very good captain. I think he was a good captain. Yeah,
really good. I might put Lucas Neal in. Good shout. I like that. Who's going to go in centre backs then, David? Who's your first centre back?
I always loved seeing Ginge.
Yeah,
the man with the cast iron forehead. he just would go after. When you've only had one positive goal differential in the history of the club in the Premier League, having people whose primary objective is to keep the ball out of your own net is pretty valuable.
Yeah.
And I always felt, in both of his stints with the club, when I saw his name on there, I thought, all right, well, somebody he's just going to get in the way.
Yeah.
And he had some, remember that when he took a second yellow against Spurs on the opening game, and Noble had missed a penalty. He'd have those moments. But overall, his defensive stability and capacity to communicate, even not as the captain, with everybody else around him, and organize the defense along with whoever his keeper was at the time. I felt more comfortable. It's not like feeling comfortable is a common trait with West Ham. So I felt more comfortable with him. So Ginge. I'm going with Ginge.
Good shout.
James
nice.
Collins.
And who's Ginge going to partner then, David, in this?
It should be, and I wish I had been able to watch like Alvin Martin. I wish I saw more of him. I did see Rio. I was, I saw the whole Rio, Joe Cole, Michael Carrick, all those guys. Yeah. And you'd think logistically, you'd go, yeah, right, we have this defensive guy. You put Rio in there. But I'm not. I'm going to go with another defensive defender. And as much because I respect how Winston Reid reacted as a player, as a professional, he gets signed by Moron Grant. That's what I call the man. Never going to call him anything else. Whether it's considered distasteful, I really don't care. Moron Grant signed him. And he looked so completely out of his depth. Yeah. I mean, a lost soul. And the way he came back, and probably a lot of credit has to go to Allardyce for that,
Mm.
and learned his trade in English football to become a player that we were all like, oh my God, he's going to go to Arsenal. He hasn't signed a new deal.
Yeah.
To have that kind of transformation, kind of like what we see
True,
with
very
Snodgrass
true.
now,
Yeah.
that's like, you get, props.
Yeah.
You get props, Winston. So Winston Reed is going to be my other center back.
And he'll always
for
go down
for that reason, as much as anything.
And he'll always go down in folklore, won't he, for scoring that goal? So, he'll always be. And obviously, he was over. He was at the MLS, wasn't he, for a while?
Yeah, they just resumed training.
Yeah.
He also scored a great goal in the championship to beat Millwall.
He did. And
Yeah.
again, that puts you, if you score against Millwall or Tottenham, that's pretty much
that's good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. When you read, I like that. That's good. That's nice, David. Let's go into midfield then. Let's go left wing. We got left midfield.
Okay.
Sorry, left midfield.
Yeah, that's fine. It obviously everybody. So many people say, that guy.
Yeah.
It's like, but to me, I'm going to treat him sort of like Voldemort. He who shall not be named. And I thought about Stan Lazaridis for a while because, he was, one of those early players when I liked his name and he scored that incredible goal against Newcastle. I mean, just a blinder, amazing goal. But going back to what Lucas Neal, Matty Etherington did something at a game, and there's going to be a bit of a spoiler alert on this because I'm sure somebody's going to be able to figure out one of the other players just by the story.
Sure.
I was at the game at Upton Park that we beat Arsenal 1-0 when Pardew and Wenger had their little bust-up.
Yeah.
89th minute. I think it went down as 90th minute in the official tally, whatever, but it was 88th, 89th minute. Etherington gets the ball on the left, and he takes a couple of hard tackles, and he goes down, but he gets up, and he stayed on the ball. Because that was where I was sitting, right in the, I think that was on the East End. Yeah, East End. And I'm looking down. And he fought through those tackles, and he sent a beautiful ball into Harewood. Yes. I mean, yeah, that's one of the great games I've ever been to, and not that I have that many to choose from. And to give me that moment, that incredible moment live, Matt Etherington.
Yeah,
for me on the left.
Yeah, and he was one of a dying breed of players, I think, in football, where he was just quick and he was just left-footed and he played on the left wing, and his job was just, as you said, just to bomb it down the wing and cross it in, and no one does it anymore now.
He did what Matt Jarvis was supposed to do.
yeah, bless old Matt. But it's true. It's like you don't have proper wingers anymore now. And it's an area of the game, I think, that's really, everything tries to be too clever. Guardiola and Klopp, they put left-sided players on the right side, so they have to cut inside. Just get a big man up front, and run it down the channels and cross it in. It's such a simple game it can be. But yeah, Matty, great shout. Yeah, so quick.
For me.
So quick. Right, let's go right wing then. Who's going to be on the right side?
Again, bit of a beggars can't be choosy, as they say. I'm coming very current. Okay. I love watching Antonio play. Yeah. His exuberance, his power. It's like a bull in a china shop. It's like every now and then when he runs, when it works, when he gets it right, it's great. And most of his goals and most of his effective performances have been on the right. Yeah. So right. And again, a part of that is like, as I look through historical stuff, like, oh, who else would I possibly go with? I just, from my time, there's nobody that really surpasses Antonio for me personally, and that's really the only current person I'm using. That's it. Yeah. Antonio's my only current guy.
Yeah,
I'm going to go Mikel Antonio.
Yeah, and again, it's similar, in terms of Etherington. As you said, when Antonio is on it, he is unplayable.
Yeah,
isn't he? And he's like, he's as quick as Matty Etherington, but he's just. He's just a unit. He's just one massive muscle, isn't it? And
and probably a lot of scar tissue now.
At the moment, yeah.
Go with that muscle.
And he's scared. He just scares defenders.
Yeah.
And it's so. And again, you don't get people like that. Maybe Traore from Wolves. He's a similar thing,
Yes.
just big and quick, and you don't. Yeah, there's not many types of those players anymore.
Not like that anymore.
No,
and I and he gave me one of the, he scored the first goal. I was at the Liverpool FA Cup replay, and he scored the first goal. That was, that was an amazing night. When we got the replay, Nigel Kahn was like, "You got to come over and say goodbye to the old lady."
Yeah.
You just, if you can you do it? And my best friend John, who's an attorney, which means he's very generous with it, and he got us hospitality.
Wow.
It was me, John, Nigel, David Blackmore, Blowing Bubbles, Dan Silver, Ian, Bianca Westwood, the West End Till I Die crew.
Yeah.
I'll send you later. I'll send you the photograph, like from the game afterward. And he scored the goal that night, and for me that's folklore. Not the goal, obviously, Albano, but I don't know. He's given me a lot of personal thrills. I just love him.
It's exciting, isn't it? Yeah, we like West Ham. We like to be excited. We know we're not going to win the Premier League. We just want to be excited, and entertained. And when Antonio has the bit between his teeth and he's on this game, he is exciting, and you just get off your seats. He's just going to.
Yes, you're at the edge of your seat when he gets the ball, and like,
how fast is he going now? Shit. Okay,
right.
Good shout. Okay, let's go midfield, centre midfields. Who's your first centre midfield then, David?
Eyal Berkovic.
Good shout.
Again, from going back to when I first started watching, and the occasional match I'd see, I'd look at the piece of paper taped in the window of McCormick's on 3rd Avenue and 26th Street, and like, oh, we're on that day, whatever, and I'd go in and watch, pay $20 at the door. And then you'd have to buy food and drink. But I just thought Berkovic was such a skillful player.
Yeah.
And you could tell he's like a student of the game.
Mm.
And I think he went out to coach the Israeli national team. And I've heard he and Hartson are like really good mates now.
Johnny picked him in his 11.
Did he? I told you I started to watch it, but I haven't finished it.
Yeah.
So I mean, he knows what kind of boot he's got. But so Berkovic was one of those early players that I'll never forget, and how he had a good pass in him. He had good vision. Mm. He picked those passes out, and when he was on the ball, you thought, okay, this could end well.
Yeah,
this could do well. So and sometimes those early memories are what you stick with. Like I said about people like Dix and Stan Lazaridis, even though I didn't pick him. I actually I gave a little bit of a thought to because underappreciated. I always thought Steve Lomas was a really solid. I know the water carrier thing, but when he was in, I always thought he brought something to the table. Yeah. There was a solidity to what he had. And when I saw him on the on the screen or listen to it on the radio, because he like Capital FM would sometimes have games, and I could hear him on the early internet stuff. If I heard Steve Lomas was there, I felt okay. That's a good thing, but Berkovic was a bit more of my. That was my first guy.
He was silky, wasn't he? And he was a fantastically skillful player.
Fantastic player. Yeah.
Yeah, he was, and that's what John said. John said he credited a hell of a lot of goals in that season where he scored 20. It was like 26, I think, or 24. He scored that season in 97, 98. He said it was part of the reason was they'd signed Berkovic, and he just got a connection there. But Eyal is in. Right, okay, who's going to partner Berkovic in the middle then, David?
Paolo Di Canio. I saw, it's funny, like Sean had him up front.
Yeah.
Ian had him. Did Ian have him up front or in the mid?
I can't remember.
Yeah. I've seen people put him in both, and I'm like, oh, thank God, because I just, number 10. I mean, he wore the number 10 and he played that way. It was almost like Harry was like, okay, you're a midfielder, but do whatever you want as if you're going to listen to me anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously the goal, and the Wimbledon game was on TV. One of those like random things here. And I'm laying on my futon because I couldn't afford a couch. In my living room, and I'm laying back like this, like you could see, it's a good pass, but I'm not really paying much attention to it.
Yeah.
It was a really good ball. And then he did it. And I didn't even think I had nobody in there. I was home alone. And I'm like, I want somebody. I don't even know what to do. I'm like walking around the apartment, like pumping my fist and screaming. Nobody there to share it with because I'd never seen anything like that. I didn't even know how the physics of that worked.
No.
You know, I know the pass was great and sometimes gets overlooked.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a perfect ball.
Yeah, it really was.
But I'm sorry. To get that off the outside of your right, no, I've never seen a goal remotely like that in my whole life.
No.
So thank God I had a choice of putting him up front or in the midfield. So DeCanio.
Yeah. And Ian, I think it was Ian who was stuck in the Blackwall tunnel and missed that goal.
Yes, you did say that, right? That's right. I do remember that part of that.
Right, Paolo is in. Okay, let's go up front. Who's going to get these goals for the David 11? Who's going to be your first striker?
Etherington to Harewood. Got to. That game.
Marlon.
The semifinal Middlesbrough, of course. Yeah. Great. Do you remember early in that season, he scored, I'll always say it was a hat trick. I'm sorry, because his third against Villa, 4-1 win at home, also on television. And my daughter, who's 18 now, was asleep. She was taking a nap. So I had to be quiet. And I'm doing all that with my neighbor from my apartment who's Argentinian. And he'll actually be part of the story as well. He scored 3 goals. I know the third one hit the bar and then went off the back of the keeper in. So technically that's an own goal. I'm like, that's just, you're cheating him. I'm not going to cheat him out of that. He scored 3 goals. I don't really care what the official stats say. That game, the game I was at against Arsenal, for that brief period of time, he did the job that a striker is supposed to do. It's not like we've had a ton, that really could. Can you name that many that in their time when they were called upon to do that job did significantly better? No, I don't think so.
He was on it, and where I was at in the old ground rather, where I was doing the DJing stuff. Mm-hmm. I used to call that corner between between the Bobbymore and the West Stand, or the Dr. Martins, whatever it's called.
Yeah,
that was Marlon corner, because Marlon he'd always get into that corner and do some beat a man or go around the back of him.
Right, he just take off his shirt and show I have a lot of muscles here. Don't get me angry.
Exactly,
that's true. And I met him actually. I got to meet him at the Leicester City game I was at. It's like he needs to pick a bigger size suit. Because it's just just bursting out of it. Yeah. Dude, just get yourself a bit more comfortable because that just looks really, really tight. Yeah, so Harewood, number 1.
Yeah, great shout. I love Marlon. And I think that might be the first time Marlon's come up.
Okay.
Off the top of my head. So there we go. It's a record breaking. I think we've had 125 different players or something at the moment. We put Marlon up. Yeah, okay.
Again, I didn't see,
and that's the great thing, David, because you haven't been there.
Yeah.
That's what's great about it, because you haven't been there. I'm just checking. I'm pretty sure Marlon hasn't come up. I've got, because I always keep my tally up. There is no Harewood in there.
Marlon,
that is the first.
Glad I could be of service.
You're in. I'll have to, and it's great because then I can tag him on Instagram because he's on it now. So yeah, there we go. 123rd new player. There we go.
There you go.
Got the stats. Okay, and who's Marlon going to partner up front?
I gave a lot of thought to that one. I did. I gave Dean Ashton some thought because when he was healthy, some of those goals he scored were just brilliant and he was so great. And I'll never forgive Sean Wright-Phillips ever. I hate him. Thought about Cole, just loyalty, been there a long time, also did the job well. I even, as odd as it sounds, and only thought about it for a very brief period of time, everybody, so don't get mad. I thought about Andy Carroll for the only reason of, when he signed, it made us very relevant in the public eye. That was a big deal for us to sign Andy Carroll.
True. Very true.
And when he played, every 37th game or what have you, you had that anticipation. something might just happen with
I
him
get
out
it.
there.
I get it.
But at the end, I couldn't. And I had to go with Mr. Carlos Tevez. Got to. And here is a true story.
Yeah.
So my friend in my apartment building, in my old apartment building, his name is Carlos. He's from Argentina, big supporter of Argentinos Juniors, the original club of Diego Maradona.
Yes.
From the Paternal district of Buenos Aires. 2006, I get a phone call from, I'm already living up here. I get a phone call from Carlos. I'm listening to Argentine radio. They say you're signing Tevez and Mascherano. Nah. Okay, whatever. But, I'm here. I'm upstate. There's so little information, and you're not really part of it. Yeah, I kind of did something kind of teenagery, childish, and I called TalkSport all the way from over here. Okay, I did. And I got on, and they laughed at me, told me I was silly, tried to ask me what I thought about George Bush. And, okay, fine. You made fun of me. That's fine.
Yeah.
And the next day, it's announced. We got it. I called back. I had no idea what was going to happen. That's fine. I'll pay for this long distance call because that was money back then to do that. They picked up the TalkSport, whoever producer picked up and went, hello, TalkSport. Hi, my name's Dave. Hold on. Click. Just put me on hold. When he came back on, he said, we were hoping you would call because we started the show with the recording of you saying that yesterday.
Oh, brilliant.
So they put me back on, and I had it. I took the piss on them. I don't even remember who the hosts were. And I went, you guys must be humiliated. I mean, you're there. You're TalkSport. You're in the middle of all this. And you had to hear about this from an American who called football this game played with an egg, like this brown egg. How are you going to look at yourself in the mirror anymore? How are you going to live with yourself? Don't worry. I said, don't worry. Next time I'm in London, I'll come visit. I'll buy you a drink. I'll make you feel better. I'll bring you down off of this emotional disaster.
Yeah.
And but his play was incredible.
Yeah,
the goal, his first goal, running into the crowd after scoring on the free kick against Spurs, which was the nightmarish game of my life because my son had been born, he was up all night crying with bad reflux and whatever. And I'm sitting there trying to soothe him in the middle of the night. All I can remember is Green dropping that ball at the end. And I'm like, it's like 3 a.m. My child is in pain and crying. And all I could do was think about that damn game. That's it. It was just like, it was a gift. Not the Great Escape saved me from having to think about that game ever again. So Tevez, even though Zamora scored more goals, but he was something special. And I think he still has a place in his heart for us. And I do. Even that short bit of time, Kia Jarabshian can tear all the emotion he wants out of a guy like Carlos Tevez. And why Mascherano didn't work out, but it's just, these things happen.
They happen, don't they?
Yeah, but in Harewood and Tevez, that doesn't suck.
Don't forget, especially with Paolo and Berkovic, and there is a lot of power.
And Etherington and Antonio coming. Yeah. Oh my God, there'll be a lot of gaps for counters. There'll be maybe acres of space. But so Tevez and Harewood.
Collins and Reed aren't going to go anywhere. They're going to sort of stay back.
They're just going to be, you got it. We're fine. Don't worry about us. Yeah. Just wait here. No question.
Score the goals. And I mean, Tevez was amazing. As you said,
he was.
And obviously he famously brought back the crossed hammers, which no one seemed to do for about 20 years until he.
No. But it was against. Was it against?
It was when he came back from Man United, he brought that back, and everyone forgets that he did it.
And that's what I meant. Yeah,
that was
he came back, and the TV didn't see it.
No,
they had to show it later. The TV went away for that. That's right, because he went to United first on a 2-year loan.
Yeah, something
right.
Like that, yeah.
It was and we had to accept a loan fee to make. We still tried to hide.
Yeah,
Scott Duxbury's little.
Whatever happened, exactly.
Who cares?
So it
whatever.
It's the West Ham way, isn't it? It's like everything
doesn't matter. You know what? It's like I laugh. I'm like, who gives a damn? Who cares? So
exactly.
What? You get penalized because you didn't like a contract? That's a North American thing. It's like nobody. It's none of your business.
Yeah.
It's none of your business. Stay out of it. That's a family matter. Go away. Pay him what we want. Shut up.
Financial fair, what? Doesn't matter. We'll pay him what he's worth.
Oh, yeah. So that's, you have to pay Shafting United for what? No, shut up.
Yeah. And I love the fact
had every
that
chance to win your games.
They did, and they didn't have to put the Premier League badge on their shirt the last game of the season and stuff like that. Didn't have to do that, did they? For their new shirt. And yeah, that's what they did famously. And obviously, what's quite funny is even when Cardiff City came back to play West Ham season before last, and Neil Warnock was in charge, everyone was still chanting "There's only one Carlos Tevez" at him, and it was like absolutely brilliant. It was it really got me. It really made me giggle because I don't usually hear a lot of chanting because it's like a soundproof box at London Stadium, and so but it was so loud that you could hear it, and it was like you could just make it out. I thought, absolute class, boys.
He's back in Argentina, I think. I think he's back at Boca.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Tevez is back at Boca Juniors.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he went back there because obviously he did United, he did City, Juventus, wasn't he? And then I think he went back.
Yeah,
went to Boca, went back to Boca. I think again, we'll be wrong, and someone will say exactly his Wikipedia page, but that's what it is. By the by, David, man, it's been great chatting. It's absolutely amazing. I love.
I've had the best time.
It's been lovely chatting to you.
Thank you so very much.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Many thanks.
Yeah, of course. And obviously, next time you're back over, let us know.
Oh, I'll let you know.
Let us know.
Without a doubt. I'll let everybody know.
And next time I'm over there, I'll let you know. But I tend to be Manhattan or New Jersey. But we'll let you.
Well, I'm 3 hours north. I'd come down.
It's worth it for a beer.
I'll come meet you. Yeah,
brilliant.
Absolutely. We'll go to Smithfield's, home of the New York City Hammers.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yep.
I missed that.
There once.
Yeah, the last time I was there, unfortunately it was off season, so I couldn't get to the guys weren't around, so I was like, I missed them.
I only went once.
Yeah, only once.
Yeah, I was already living up here. I went down. I drove down for my dad's funeral the day before, and I met John, who'd flown in from Texas for the funeral, and we went to Smithfield's to watch the debacle against Man City midweek. Yeah. Was that the Cup? I think it was the Cup. So, was it a Cup game? Yeah. They destroyed us. Or was it the league? I don't know. And then we went out to dinner, and then we went to my dad's funeral the next day. So, but that's the only time I ever went to Smithfield's. And it was great. It was a great time.
Yeah, it's good shit. It's lovely.
They gave me a T-shirt.
Still, there you go. You got a free T-shirt, if anything. I mean, it's lovely when you talk to like Adam Frankel with because I used to go to school with Adam. Randomly, like it's like how many thousand miles apart.
How'd that happen?
I know, and yeah, it's incredible all these sort of pockets of fans that are all over the world, and we hope to get a lot more of them on here as well because I think it's really important to get people appreciation of it's not just people in Essex and London, but it's just wider and wider and wider.
And if I think Nigel mentioned that in his interview with you with his 11, and he said that to me. He said that on the podcast before, it's we had to work really, really hard to follow the club way back when. I mean, when it was like no television, and after relegation, oh my God, that's not easy. But I wouldn't have it any other way. No. I wouldn't. This club, from a sporting perspective, is the only thing I care that much about. Yeah. Anything else, I just don't care.
How's in comparison? Yeah.
No, there is nothing. I don't care.
It's been brilliant.
I don't give a shit.
On that bombshell.
The Rangers are going to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. I did that once. I went down. I remember going to Madison Square Garden it was a playoff game, and because everyone was saying, "Oh, the rain," just to get an atmosphere, to see what it's like.
It's exciting.
Turner went back up. It was like they had a couple of open top buses. It wasn't the bowling. It wasn't like it was like
Stanley Cup playoff hockey was fun, but again, it's just. And the Garden was great for that. It's not anything like it is now. It's become, sanitized and corporatized, and Sounds a lot like.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. but I quite, because obviously when I went to, I went to a couple of MLS games out there, and and,
Mhm.
I really like. There's a real like Europeanness to the fans there. There's a pocket of ultras. It seems at every ground, and
Yeah,
the Red Bulls,
banging on the drums.
yeah,
In
and
each
the Red
corner.
Bulls, and they had like the fire thing. It was absolutely, I loved it. And then you could still have a beer when watching the game. That's what I loved as well. You didn't have to. It's absolutely mental, and everyone it's the same as baseball, isn't it? You sort of like you watch a few innings, and then everyone just wanders off
Yeah.
to get a beer.
Yeah.
It's like,
no, you're like, I wonder
still
why they
going.
put the sign up. What's a big video board? Pop, huh? Like NFL makes no sense to me at all. Like none. I know it's popular over there. I do.
Yeah.
I know it's huge.
Yeah.
It's like if somebody once timed an NFL game and it was something like 14 minutes total of actual action over 3.5 hours of whatever. That's I can cook a meal in that. No thanks. I just don't understand that. That just doesn't do anything for me.
It's the same as baseball, I don't know. I remember once almost getting heat stroke in Atlanta watching the baseball because it was like 38 degrees or something like that, and it ended up in a draw. And not a draw, but they lost in the last ball, and I was like, well, there we go. Okay, but then that was it. But it's only $5 a ticket, so it's not too bad. It's like it's
not too bad, not too bad. But nothing means more to me from a sporting perspective than. There we go. There we go. Or this, the first shirt I ever bought. No sponsor too. So only a few months that they were available, like in the early or mid '90s. I can't remember what happened.
That shirt reminds me that it's funny. People that wear shirts and they remind me of certain players. That shirt is John Hartson. That's my John. That's my shirt reminds me of John Hartson.
Totally. Yeah, with the collar. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was only available for like a few months. I think it was after Doc Martens.
Yeah.
I think, was it after Doc Martens and before whoever came after Doc Martens? But they hadn't signed the deal. And this was on the rack. And I'm like, okay, I didn't own a shirt. And I bought it.
Yeah.
And it's still there. It's not even very comfortable.
No, it's this weird collar. If I remember that one. No, I remember.
Yeah, that's the collar thing. That's the reason I don't like it.
We've done quite well with sponsors. Because I've got this. I've got Alpari. They went out of business.
Yes, Alpari.
SBO Bet. We had XL. Yeah, XL. That was a good one. Yeah, we had the patch. Didn't we,
stranding tens of thousands of Britons all over the world.
Especially because
you should have known better to travel with West Ham sponsor. I
remember because they had
to put tape over it.
Because he had it was the wrong colour, wasn't it?
We had to watch David Di Michele running around with you could still see the XL through this sheer fabric. It was like you couldn't write this shit. It
was the same. It was the same shirt, but obviously people would sweat, wouldn't they? So and you had two layers there, and then they put the number on it. That was quite nice, like that for a bit. But what they did with XL, because I remember they put an XL Holidays massive banner over the East Stand. So as people were flying into London City and Stansted, they would see it. It was quite clever with advertising, really. But yeah. Anyway, and we Bassett Gold are out of business, and there are we've done
yes,
well.
That's
we've
right.
Really
oh my God, the kiss of death. We are the kiss of death.
Yeah. Oh dear. Anyway, man, thank you very much for your time, and obviously,
thank you
to everyone for watching and the support for the channel. I'm always humbled by all the messages and stuff. Obviously, like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. And from me and David, take care, stay safe. We'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye bye.